Yes, today we are reviewing Power of the Daleks. And you might be wondering, well, Robert, when will you review the Doctor Who Christmas special? Don't worry, I'm gonna get to that. Now, Power of the Daleks is a 60s serial. As you can see, it's black and white to show it's 60s. It's from the 60s, yes. And, yeah, my hand is black and white, I know. Colouring filters, that's the way to go. And you might be saying, well, Robert, you don't usually review classic Doctor Who episodes. Well, I'm going to, and yes, you're right, but this is special, you see, for this is the regeneration story of the post-regeneration story of the second Doctor, and the first story to have the second Doctor in it, obviously, and it's the fourth or fifth story to feature the Daleks. And what did I think of this episode then? It was story then, because the classic serials used to be about either 5, 4, hell, even 6 episodes long. I'm just gonna They were traditionally aired they were traditionally aired as serials, they were, because that was the standard norm for 60s classic sci-fi serials. And you might be wondering, why is it so cartoony when your figures are very detailed? Well, this was a lost episode. There were some surviving story, and yes, there were some surviving episode, it's clips, but they're very short and they're not a full episode, and the whole story is missing. Like, you can't see the whole entire story, as you can't view it the way it was meant to be, which is a shame, considering this story is a pretty good story and is highly regarded such as a good story. Now, the story is set on Vulcan, not the race of Spock's race from Star Trek. No, I'm talking about the planet Vulcan, where a bunch of humans have colonized there and are developing well, except for the rebellion. And this man named Lesserson discovers a cube inside of it discovers a time capsule inside of in the swamps, and he's a scientist, so of course he's intrigued to see what's inside it, and you guessed it, it's a Dalek. It's the Daleks. There's 3 Daleks in the capsule. What's there for? And their plan is to make more of them and then exterminate everybody else. But seeing that there's the colonists have, even though they have communications to Earth, they do not know what a bloody Dalek is before they discovered it, and the Daleks fool them into thinking that they are your servant. We are your servant. And they start to give them supplies, and they be nice, and it's really creepy, the scenes are done. But soon they discover that Lesserson discovers that the Daleks are multiplying, and they're going to kill people, and they have their free will, and they are conspiring to exterminate all human life forms on the planet. Of course, his helper does not believe him because she's a mad scientist and she thinks they can win a revolution, and nobody believes the Doctor. Isn't it traditional? And you just want to slap the human characters that aren't Ben and Polly across the face, because they're just annoying. Good annoying. It's a good story, and you wouldn't have a story if they did believe the Doctor and they knew what the Daleks are capable of. So yeah, I can see why they did that. So what do I think of this story? Well, it's a pretty incredible story. Like, the animation is amazing. Like, and actually, there's more Daleks in this than in the original one, because, like, they didn't have much of a budget back in the 60s, so they could only use about, like, 4 Daleks, because, well, they didn't have CGI back then. And if they wanted CGI, if they used CGI, it looked absolutely terrible. That's why Underworld is probably one of the worst stories in Classic Who ever. Except for Space Pirates, that was also crap. But anyway, so they used cardboard cutouts with, like, images of the real Daleks plastered on them, so they look slightly convincing, but not really convincing if you can see in 3 dimensions. Yeah, it's like seeing like having me as a cardboard cutout, and having 2 of me, and I couldn't afford a person that looks like me, but isn't really, but doesn't, that looks like me, but isn't me. You get you catch my drift? So I would have to have a cardboard cutout, and it wouldn't convince you at all, wouldn't it? That's the same with this story. Yeah, but there's animation, so they could create as many Daleks as they want, and they'll all look lifelike. They also had to use, like for this scene, they had to use toy Daleks to create the conveyor belt with all the Daleks being brought back to life. Yeah, they wanted their power, and they got their power, alright. All the performances, the regulars are as good as usual, and Patrick Troughton, even though he doesn't really have his usual performance, like, he did the best he can, and for a post-regeneration story, this is pretty good. I have seen worse post-regeneration stories, I have. Looking at you, Castrovalva. And and I've also seen worse Dalek stories. Army Doomsday and Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. And I've seen worse Patrick Troughton stories. Looking at you, the space pirates, but overall, this is a good story. The plot is amazing, and for the time, they did use really good effects. So I would rate it a 8 out of 10. It's a pretty good story, and it's just not really going to be called a spoiler-filled review, because this episode's about 50 years old. So, goodbye everybody. Goodbye. And here's to 2017. This is not going to be my last video for the year. That's going to be my New Year's Eve video. So goodbye. Bye.